This is a Democratic candidate from Texas. Her name is Maureen Galindo. She's incredibly anti-Zionist and, quite honestly, very unhinged in a lot of her rhetoric. So why am I even bringing her up if it seems like she's not even going to actually get elected? It's because the amount of money that's being funded to her by Republican money against an anti-Zionist, like a staunch anti-Zionist, very unhinged candidate, I have to say. And the reason I call her unhinged is because this lady has been going viral a lot recently, and basically every Democratic candidate has been canceling her, stating that they don't support her in any way whatsoever, because she's basically calling to put American Zionists in ICE detention camps. And she went on social media and she stated, when Maureen gets into office, she'll write legislation so that all Zionism in support of Zionism is undoubtedly anti-Semitic, since it's Zionists harming the Semites. She'll turn Carnes ICE detention center into a prison. I need to stop smiling. Into a prison for American Zionists and former ICE officers for human trafficking. It will also be a castration processing center for pedophiles, which will probably be most of the Zionists. I need to stop smiling. So it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's just so unrealistic. It's so insane. Obviously, it set off alarm bells, and immediately the right jumped on this, and they're starting to use this for propaganda. The New York Post, Fox News, they're all starting to say, oh my gosh, look at the Democrats. This lady wants to put Zionists into concentration camps. What's going on? She wants to castrate them. So there's a lot of unhinged politicians that are political candidates that are always running. So why this one? Why is this getting so much attention? She's funded over $600,000 from a new PAC that came out of nowhere, basically in the beginning of May, and it's called Lean Left. And now this is where things get really insane. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and show you guys the website for Lead Left. Here it is, leadleftpac.com. Very, very simple website. And it says, Lead Left PAC stands against MAGA extremists who will infect our country with Donald Trump's agenda. We stand for truth, democracy, and the American dream for all Americans. We stop at nothing to keep Donald Trump from stealing our country from us. It doesn't sound like anything an actual person on the left would say. I have to say so. It just doesn't. But this is the only website. So this PAC backed her $600,000, and it's weird because you've never heard of them before. Now, this is their actual website. However, they changed things up about a month ago because journalists previously, it was a small Punchbowl News actually reported on this first, and then I ended up double checking, and it was actually correct. If you put the website name into Web Archives, which basically logs websites, and it logs the history of websites down to their HTML, you'll get the same exact website. Here is leadleftpac.com on Web Archives. Here's the thing, though. It looks exactly the same, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to right-click and click View Page Source, and you'll see you'll see the back HTML of the website. Now, this is where things get very interesting. If you go to the old page source of the website, and you search up and you do Command F, and you search up WinRed, what you'll notice is that there's a GOP fundraising platform HTML in the code of a Lead Left PAC. So why now all of a sudden is there, like hard right Republican fundraising platform in a Lead Left PAC? It makes no sense. This shouldn't be there. Why is that in the HTML of the website? So people started to catch on and recognize, wait a second, this is actually this lady that's a staunch anti-Zionist, so much though she's very, fringe, saying things that are just unrealistic, just truly doing it for the buzz, it seems like. Why does the PAC that's backing her $600,000 have a right-wing neocon fundraising platform on, just your standard right-wing one? It's because they're using her in order to actually defeat the person that they view as more of a threat, because they know that she would be easier to take on during the actual primaries. You guys get what I'm saying? So right now in her district, there's another Democratic candidate, and he's not the first time around. I believe she kind of got first place. They have these I believe it was they had several candidates, and then she was the top two along with him, and they're doing everything they can to basically make sure that she wins instead of him. Let me pull up his name. I believe it was. Let me see. Let me pull up his name for here. Here it is. It's this man right over here, and his name is Johnny Garcia. And they're doing everything they can to make sure Johnny Garcia doesn't win, because the right is more worried about him actually being able to win in the primaries. So they want to make sure that they set up the Republican candidate that's going to be running in that district, along with a very unhinged leftist that they know they have a much better chance of winning. So they're going ahead and they're creating this PAC. They're backing her $600,000 to defeat this guy over here, because he's actually more difficult for the right to beat, and he's not going out calling for American Zionists to be put into ICE detention camps. You have to give it to them. It's pretty insane the way that they're going about this to ensure that a Democrat doesn't take that seat. Now, if you guys have watched my channel for a very long time, I'm very, I try not to be partisan with anything. In this case, I'm just sharing what's going on, because I think that the way they're going about this is absolutely unhinged. Keep in mind, though, that Democrats do the exact same thing. I mean, it's not one party, especially when it comes to presidential elections, getting people off the ballot, getting people on the ballot. There's a lot of stuff going into this on both sides. They kind of do this. This is absolutely wild, though, that they're using somebody who basically exemplifies everything that they say is a radical leftist who hates Jewish people. This is what they're trying to brand it. She's, this anti-Semite that wants to create concentration camps for American Zionists who tend to be Jewish people. This is what they're branding it as. This is what the New York Post is running with. This is what all the media is running with. This is what they want to do. So now they found this lady, and I don't think, by the way, she knows what's going on. She's not bought out. She's not bought out. This platform, this PAC that backed her with $600,000, she just thinks it's truly a PAC. I believe she just thinks it's truly a PAC that views what she says as credible, and they want to help her out. I really think that's what's going on. There's this PAC, and she thinks that they're backing her because they really care about her message. So she's just being authentically herself, which is, something that's very polarizing, obviously, for lack of a better word. And she's getting all of this money in support of her campaign, and she's loving it. She's not asking for it, or she never, she doesn't recognize that she's being used in this way, but they're using her in this way in order to get this guy to make sure that he doesn't actually make it to the primaries. So that way the Republican that's running against him or against her would have a much better, would fare off much better. It's pretty, you have to give it to them. So now what's happening on the left, or I guess in the Democratic Party, is you have all of these Democratic politicians now that are immediately going out publicly and condemning her, like AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, all of these politicians, left, all the way on basically every Democratic politician on the left is going out publicly stating that they condemn her. They don't accept her whatsoever because they don't want to be associated with her. Because they don't want to basically, confirm what the Republicans are trying to impose on this party, that they're a bunch of anti-Semites. Wild, 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 wild. And it's going to be interesting to see if she actually wins. That would be something. So House Democrats are in a mad dash to isolate Texas Democratic congressional candidate Maureen Galindo, who said she wants to turn an ICE facility into a prison for American Zionists. Wild, 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 wild. So we'll have to see how things unfold moving forward. If you guys found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you just go ahead and click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. Also, if you see people in the comments with the JFK emoji and the censored emoji and all the other emojis, you can use those emojis too if you join as a member. So if you click the join button below next to the subscribe button, you can join as a member, and you get to see member-only videos I do pretty often on here. Hope you guys found this video interesting, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye, everybody.